Hello and welcome again to Redacted Nuisance. That's 10 to 12 to maybe even 15 minutes of nonsense on the internet, which is recorded in one take, not listened back to, published, and I get to hear it about the same time you do. Why do I call it Redacted Nuisance? I call it Redacted Nuisance because if I called it Queer Nuisance, which is what I'd ideally like to call it, you wouldn't be able to hear it because it would be blocked by systems and everything that is out to suppress queer voices, queer lives, etc., in media and on social media, etc. So it's called. And also, there are some spaces where people may not be able to listen to something that is labelled specifically queer or from the LGBTQ because of the restrictions within their country or within their region within their country. So that's why I call it Redacted Nuisance. I'm not redacting it because I wish to hide myself. I am hiding myself because I know that in a way that is obvious because I know that makes it easier for other people to engage with this. So I just wanted to catch you up with where I've been because it's been a while. It's been an interesting while. I've left my day job. I have spent 6 weeks or so in New Zealand, including a week in Rarotonga. Mixed, but great, but mixed. And I've been back in the UK for about 3 weeks. And I now have a new Fred, who's an adorable, the Ghost Two Derps, an adorably large beastie. And yeah, I am trying to think of what to do with my life and myself and how I interact with the world. Whether I work more part-time. I'm going to take some time and figure out how I can work without reverting to breakdown, which has been the previous model of I work for 3 to 5 years. I then have a burnout. I then recover in about 3 to 6 weeks, get enough to get working again, rinse, repeat, do again, until you reach 57, which is what I'm doing in a couple of weeks, with severe exhaustion. Just my burnout has burnout. My burnout, I'm so burnt out, I don't know how long it will take to recover. So that's kind of where I'm at. And one of the big things of taking the time in New Zealand was to catch up with my friend who I've known since I was 24, so I've known them for more than half my life, and spend time with them, which was lovely and amazing and wonderful, and so feeding for me, being able to talk to somebody who's seen me go through multiple burnouts, seen me go through this loop over and over and over, but also understands why I'm so driven towards this. There is a Protestant style thing that you don't get to rest. Rest is for the wicked, or not for the wicked, but to rest is wicked. So when I was a child, to sit and watch telly was not something that I could do. My gender was required to sit and watch telly and knit or crochet or iron or fold or do something. There was always an impetus on the value of doing was what gave you self-worth. Now, that's fine for a lot of people, and a lot of people go through their upbringing. When you go through that upbringing with a really low sense of self-worth from the CPTSD that is being built up within you, from that chronic or complex post-traumatic stress, from these constant pushes on you that tell you you are not right, whatever you do to comply is not enough, and things like that, you end up with this feeling of low self-worth. And the only time you're told you have any self-worth is when you produce. So I have an overactive gland of production, one might call it, or I have an overactive tendency towards production. So I can't just sit and do nothing. Or that's what I'm learning to do. So what I'm learning to do is to sit and just sit and look at the world and breathe. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's just existing is enough. My existence is resilience. My existence is enough. So it means I am understanding that I can just sit and breathe. And I read. And I talk with Fred. And I sit and sip coffee and contemplate on the world. Or I sit and sip coffee and listen to podcasts on things that might interest me. Or I sit beside a beach and just watch the waves come in for half an hour. Just watching the waves. Or I go in the water and swim around following fish for slightly longer than I intended because my timer didn't get set properly, so the hour turned into 90 minutes to almost 2 hours. That's okay. Poor Barb was a little bit worried about me because I disappeared from view, and they were like, I know Jay is a confident swimmer, I know that they will be fine. I was fine. I was swimming in a lagoon, so it was completely safe. And I am a confident swimmer. But it's a whole new thing of just going, I can sit and think. Or I can just sit, I don't even need to think. I can just sit and watch people go past. And that's enough. That's more than enough. My existence is enough. And that's a whole new way of thinking and way of being. So doing that has been quite a change. If you have an idea of me, you probably know that I'm doing 10,000 things at once. I'm always doing things. I'm running around. I have a million ideas. Not all of them good, but I have a million ideas, and I will test every single one of them and go, does this one work? No, but combined with this, maybe. Let's try that. Oh, no, that doesn't work. And that's the noise that was generally inside my head all the time. And what I'm trying to do is to get it so that the noise inside my head is very, very quiet. And by being very, very, very quiet, I can recover from this burnout. I can not race myself into burnout again and again and again. So I have stuff to do, and I have stuff that needs doing, and I will set aside 1 or 2 things to do a day, and I will do those things, maybe. And I don't beat myself up if they don't get done, because I probably did something else. And that's sufficient. That's not just sufficient, that's the thing that you need to do, is slow down. Just go slow. Understand that everything doesn't have to be done at full tilt. That I can stop and think about how I approach things, and be slightly more thoughtful about the ways in which I approach things. And that makes a big difference too. If you stop, you make less mistakes, because you look at the different ways of doing something and go, what will work here? Where should I actually throw my energy? Which of the 10 things that's clamoring on my attention is the thing that I actually should be doing? Now, if you're Fred, who's just perked his little head up, Fred is the centre of the universe, and all of my attention should be focused on Fred. For those who are wondering, yes, the cat is again called Fred. It comes from a line from the Headless Chickens, from their song Gas Crankin' Station. I've got a cat called Fred, and he's a vicious little bugger when it comes to being fed. I've got a TV set or two. We'll have to get a man in because one of them blew up, but maybe one day I think I'll take up the piano again. But who knows? What the hell? Most of the time, everything is just swell around here. It's actually a very, very bleak industrial style 90s, late 90s, I would say ballad, but song. Um, I That was part of why my cats have been called Fred. I then was listening to the song the other day and went, did I hear that right? So I went and looked up the lyrics. Turns out the cat's called Ed. So I have misnamed my cats, to Fred from a song that I've misheard the lyrics of. And I find that very amusing. That I have my Fred. This Fred is very different to Fred. There are two Freds in my life. There are more than two Freds. The OG Fred was my dad. And Fred, previous Fred, Fred, was a very sickly cat, and I spent much of the last 2 and a bit years of his life basically running palliative care for him. He was a very unwell little boy with real liver problems and struggled to eat, struggled to poop, needed daily medications, needed everything needed to be watched on him. I was constantly on high alert for, was he okay? Was he feeling okay? Was he pooing okay? Did he eat enough? Did he drink enough? Everything. I've now gone to the Ghost Who Derps, who my only worry of him is when he zoomies, can I manage to find my drink in time before he sends it flying? He is a large, robust, stupidly derpy, wonderfully loopy, very loving cat. They're both all my Freds have been very loving. So Fred, the current chummer, is pure white and large and is Derpy Cat from K-pop Demon Hunters. Loves his toys, goes wild for some of his treats, and the rest of the time just wants to be somewhere within earshot of me or besides me as much as he can. He's another stray, he's another adopted cat, and for anyone considering to get a cat, I would so recommend adopting. Don't buy, adopt. Always have a cat, but always adopt. So I'm going to leave it there. That's kind of where I've been. Not been here. And I spent the last 2 weeks that I've been here acclimatizing a cat to the fact that he lives in a flat with me.